Well, hi, and I'm here with head soccer coach Bill Hempen. And first of all, Coach Hempen, thank you for being here with us today.
Happy to be here.
Okay, well, let's just start from the beginning. You played soccer in college. Why did you decide to continue that on and make it a career?
Do you want the real story?
Sure.
Actually, my degree's in education, and I really didn't set out to be a soccer coach. When I graduated from the University of Evansville, my coach called me and had a spot for me if I wanted to be a graduate assistant at Northeast Louisiana University, which I took that opportunity, and that led from one thing to another, and it's turned out pretty good for me.
And you basically helped to start the Duke University program. Why did you decide to take on that big of a project so early on in your career?
Well, you know, honestly, I'm kind of a victim of being in the right place at the right time. While I was at Duke, I was an assistant men's coach at Duke University in 1986 and 87. The men's soccer program at Duke University was very well respected and very well embraced by the community. They'd get very large crowds. And it was basically Duke basketball, Duke soccer, Duke football, as far as how things went in the pecking order. When I got to Duke in 1986, the men won a national championship. And it was the next spring that, actually it was the next summer, that the head coach and I were coming in off the field from a camp session. And there was a note on his desk to go see the athletic director. And he said to me, he goes, "I think I know what this is about." And he went to the office, came back about 20 minutes later and said, "Well, we're going to start women's soccer." I said, "Oh, great. And they want you to be the coach." I said, "Okay." And you know, we were off and running from there. And I was the men's assistant coach and head women's coach for 4 seasons before I completely broke away from the men's game to be solely a women's coach.
What was it like to get that kind of news that they wanted you to be the new head coach for the women's team?
Well, it was great news. It was great news on 2 fronts. One, they obviously liked me as a person and what I was able to do with the men's program. And then in the age of Title IX and gender equity, they were adding the sport based on the popularity of the sport, not because they had to. And that made the transition a whole lot better because they wanted to be good at it. They had a plan on how we were going to implement scholarships into the program and how we were going to grow the program. And you know, that was an exciting opportunity for me. It's one of those you're certainly not going to turn down, especially at a place like Duke University.
So after putting that much into the Duke University program, what was it like to leave there and come here?
That's pretty well documented too, as far as how many times I've told that story. You know, I never wanted to leave. And I left on good terms. I left the program in good shape. I have this new addition to my life, a wife, who is actually a CU grad. And she's from Southern California, I'm from St. Louis, and this kind of puts us right in the middle of our families. And I have 2 young children, a 3rd grader and a 1st grader. And if we were ever going to have our families know each other, it's a whole lot easier to get to California and St. Louis from here than it is from Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. I don't think there's any direct flights. My wife asked me if this job came open, would I at least consider it? And lo and behold, about 6 months after I answered in the positive, the job came open. So I think she knew something. It was no guarantee that I would get the job, but I at least got my name in to be considered. And fortunately, it's worked out for us as a family.
And let's talk about the Colorado program a little bit. When you came here, they hadn't put together a winning season yet. How did you take what you learned from starting the Duke program and apply it to really turn this team around?
Well, I basically started over. You know, kind of all the battles that I fought for 15 years at Duke, I started back at year 1 here. There was very little, a base for building a solid program here. They played off campus. Locker room facilities were non-existent. I mean, there wasn't a lot of draw here, and on top of it, you know, we weren't very good. Every year I've been here, we've gotten something different. That very first year, I remember asking Mr. Tharp, explain to me again why there's a baseball field on campus and no baseball team, and yet there's a soccer team that you don't have a field on campus. And he scratched his head and said, yeah, we probably need to do something about that. And you know, we started to practice on campus. We changed our training time. from 1 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon to late afternoon, all the way to now where we actually train in the morning, which opened up a whole new options for our kids as far as classes are concerned. Because I was intrigued at the number of fifth-year student athletes we had in our program at that point. But because they had to go off campus to train, they had to block off so much time, it was almost impossible for them to get the classes that they needed to succeed. Little things. Once I got my fingers on Print-Up Field, we've now turned it into our home field. We have a nice scoreboard where we have locker room out there now. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what we had. So, that coupled with some outstanding assistant coaches. Paul Hogan's been with me since we got here, and I remember another story is, all my friends when I moved out to Colorado, they said, well, I guess you're skiing a lot and having a good time. I said, well, we were 3-11-2. I'm not doing a whole lot of skiing. So we were gone from here a good bit recruiting. We tried to put a new face on the program and make it more attractive for the Colorado kids, and it's worked out for us ever since. Yeah,
it seems to have. You just received your 250th career win a few weeks ago, and you've also been recognized as National Coach of the Year in the past. Mm-hmm. As a coach, what contributes to that kind of success and recognition?
Well, I refer to John Wooden. I always ask John Wooden, how were you so good? He said, I had the best players. You have good players and they make you a really good coach. And obviously I can't give enough credit to Paul for sticking with us, and Paul Hogan, our associate head coach, and just hitting the road and doing all the little things that make Colorado a unique place to come to school. And attractive as far as the soccer end of it. So it's been good so far.
All right, well, let's step away from coaching and soccer for a little bit. And you mentioned your friends asked you about skiing. What else do you like to do in your spare time when you're away from the field?
I love my garden. My wife knows that if she can't find me out with the kids, I'm in the garden. And I take a good bit of pride in my yard and make sure that my kids are helping me plant the tomato plants and picking strawberries and raspberries. That's probably one of my favorite things. I just like to be outside in general.
Yeah. Okay, and you mentioned you do have 2 small children. How has what you've learned from coaching applied to being a parent?
Well, it's all the same. You just have to approach it a little bit differently. As far as how you communicate, I think communication is the number one thing. We tell our girls all the time, don't think you know what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. Come and ask me, because most of the time it's a lot different than what you think. And it's the same thing with my children. I said, hey, Emma or Lucas, work with me here. Talk to me. How can I make this better for you? And so in a lot of ways, it's been great, because it's a different level of patience on both ends.
Is there anything that you've learned from parenting that you have applied back to coaching?
My son likes to play sports. My daughter likes the theater, mm-hmm. a 3rd grade theater major. And the constant there is, are you having fun? Mm-hmm. And I try to make our training sessions, and I hope that our kids have fun, because at the end of the day, it is a game, and games are supposed to be fun. And that's probably the number one thing I've taken from being a parent into coaching.
Well, it seems like your team's having fun right now. They're nationally ranked. You are coming to the end of your season here, but what does the end of the season look like for the team, and maybe even the future?
Well, one of the things that we had prided ourselves on before was we were over the course of our stay here at Colorado. We've gotten a little bit better each year. Last year was the first time that the senior class didn't leave increasing wins or getting farther in the tournament, doing something a little bit farther. So it was a kind of a disappointing season for us last year. This year, we're on track to do some things that we've not done before. We beat Texas at home a couple weeks ago, which is the first time the program's ever beaten Texas here in Boulder. We're on track to have the most wins at the end of a regular season. So there's things for this class to improve upon, and those are some of our goals. When we set out, we wanted. I can state now that we wanted to be a Big 12 champion. We've put ourselves in position for that. We still have to take care of business, but we're farther along than we were a year ago, that's for sure.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here today, and we wish you the best of luck with the rest of your season.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.